Why, hello, everybody. It is great to see you. Today's session is a little bit different, and I think it's going to be really fun because I am going to be the student today. I am joined by Kerry Engel. She's a long time member of the Handmade Book Club, and she has been a guest artist before, and she may well be coming back. You just never know. She is going to be teaching me a simple alcohol ink technique which creates like these soft clouds. So we're going to start with bookmarks, but the reason I wanted to explore this technique was because I feel like it could translate really nicely into bookmaking. We're always looking for things for covers, for signature wrappers and things to put inside our books. I hear that all the time. So this is one of those projects that could really open up a lot of possibilities for you. So if you're new to alcohol inks, they're like a fast drying, highly pigmented alcohol-based ink that move and spread on like non-porous surfaces like photo paper, Yupo, acrylic. And I've never really played with them. So I'm excited that Kerry is going to show me what to do, and you. So Kerry is joining us. Kerry Engel is joining us from Edmonton in Alberta, Canada. She comes from a background in mixed media and adult education, and she is a self-described mojo maker. And lucky for us, she is now retired and a full-time artist and teacher. You may know her online as Engelbell or Engelbells. I don't know if you're not following her. The links are down below. And she's got a very playful, more is more style. And when you see Kerry's style, I know you're going to love it, and it's very distinctive. Lots of stitching, lots of layers, lots of beautiful, like soft colors. So why don't we get started? She's included a short supply list, which is underneath either watching this live or the recording. And there's also a safety tip sheet as well, because that is very important. So, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm very excited. And sorry we're a few minutes late, folks. We were just figuring out some tech issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kerry, tell me how you came across alcohol inks in your sort of creative journey.
Well, I worked for many years as a content creator for a Canadian scrapbooking magazine.
Yeah.
And so we worked a lot with alcohol inks, and I took a lot of courses, and I think I made a lot of cards at the time, right? And so people used alcohol inks to make these swooshy backgrounds, and then they'd add, stamps or whatever. And I took classes on how to make the flowers and all that. But when I would do it, I sort of ended up developing kind of my own style of a flower. So I don't know if you want me to talk about this, but what I ended up doing was kind of creating a class out of these whimsical flowers. And I recently made it into an online class, so that's available. But in working in this online class as well, I was using Ranger inks, and I would teach this class in person a lot, and so then I created the online class. But I also discovered a new brand of ink, but that's kind of what we're doing today is we're trying this new brand, because I think everybody's, if they've used alcohol inks, they're familiar with Ranger, Pinata. Yeah. And but there's a new brand, and I'm gonna butcher the name.
Oh, that's okay.
It's from Ukraine, Kamenskia. And when I discovered it, they have really, yes, beautifully pigmented inks. And they have this pastel line. And I do a lot of work with encaustic wax as well. And so I'm very used to, melting and creating dreamy landscapes with my wax. And when I got the pastel collection, so there's a bunch of different colors. They're very opaque. Then I'm like, I can make clouds on cards too now, right? And so it was something I hadn't really been able to achieve before, because the inks, the normal inks are very transparent, right? And you get beautiful layers and all that, but you don't get layers that are more opaque. And so, and so I just started making clouds. And so that's kind of, I don't do this, all the time. I certainly, when I get asked to come teach a class, I practice again and do it. I do find alcohol inks are something, you want, well, good ventilation and we're going to be using rubbing alcohol and it's, it can bother people, if it's too strong. We don't use a lot. We use minimal inks. Don't use a lot of rubbing alcohol. But this, honestly, it's probably my favorite summertime activity, right? It's not something I do in the dead of winter because I want to have a window open and good ventilation. But I do, we're going to make some really layered clouds today. So
Ooh.
that's kind of how I ended up here. Mostly just play and that. But
okay. So what
let's-
kind of things do we need?
okay, yeah.
I want to make sure I have everything correctly.
Right. So I think we talked about the commence. The K inks. We're going to call them the K inks.
The new inks, yes.
Yeah, the new inks. And I am using a navy, dark blue.
Yeah.
I've used a few different colors. I didn't have a red or a pink, so I did pull out an alcohol ink Ranger one out of Poppy. But
Yep.
you can, if you have the terracotta,
Yes.
or I would use the terracotta or turquoise or the yellow.
Okay.
Clouds. These are interpretations. These are whimsical clouds, right? So this one I did with green. So it's almost like a landscape that moves into clouds.
Yeah.
So we can do anything. So mix it up. But what we need for the cloud making portion are the pastels, and I'm using 4 different shades. I'm using concrete,
Okay.
and then gray fog,
Mhm.
and then I think this one's called cocoa. I can't tell anymore.
Okay.
And white. So do you have all 4 of those ones?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Do you have any pastels?
Yes, I've got pastels for sure.
Okay. Which ones do you have?
Oh, well, Mickey ordered me a big bucket of them.
Okay. So which pastels do you have?
Baby blue.
Okay.
I have Tiffany.
Okay.
Pistachio.
Okay.
Mint.
Mint.
Hold on. What else do I have? Strawberry with cream.
Okay.
Peach smoothie. I have
Okay.
indigo. I have yellow ochre, turquoise, terracotta, dusty pink, and caramel.
Okay. So let's use caramel and dusty pink. So get out the paler ones that you have that are the opaque ones.
Okay, got them. Thanks.
Okay, and maybe one that's slightly darker. So your clouds maybe will go pink. So if you take one of your pink ones there.
Okay, strawberries and cream. Got it. Thanks.
And so I do line them up kind of from the dark one through to, like, I work left to right. So I've lined them up so that I'm using them in the right order, because we're gonna start with the darker pastel and then layer on the lighter ones on top. So, you're gonna have some fun clouds.
Okay, and what else do I need? Alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol, and then I use this kind of dropper.
Yep.
That.
Homework. Yes.
And we're gonna need our surface. So traditionally, like I think years ago when alcohol inks first came out, people, we were using Yupo paper, right? You need a non-porous surface. I've done them on tiles. In the last few years, I think people discovered that you can use photo paper. So I was using a different brand, but there's a new one. This is on Amazon. It's called Koala. And it's actually really good photo paper. I just have a cheap little HP Tango, inkjet. And I was very impressed with how this printed for photos. But we're going to be using photo paper, but we aren't using the side that you would normally print photos on. We're using the back side because it's plasticized. So it's non-porous. So it's the back side of the paper that we're using. And that's the trick, right? Because it's not. So there, if you think of photo paper, sometimes if you're going with like Fuji or Kodak, there's a logo all over the back of it. And so we don't want a photo paper that has a logo on the back of it. So if you happen to have photo paper in your stash that's, or generic brand, that's what you want. And we want the back side of it. Yes.
Okay, I think I messed up, but I have Yupo paper. So I got the HP paper.
Okay.
And it's got HP on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the glossy front won't work. It's the
No,
plastic back.
no.
Okay. But I have Yupo, so don't worry.
Yeah. I've done it on tiles, and I'll give you a couple other things you can do now. I bought a new iPad lately, and it was wrapped in this beautiful glassine paper. And so I did it on the glassine, and it worked really, really well.
Ooh, glassine paper would be fun in a book.
Yeah. As signature covers, or even So I've done that. The other thing that you can do is, do you remember transparencies? I know they're not called transparencies anymore.
I have them. Yeah.
Yeah. What are they called now? What's this called?
They call them something else. Yeah.
It's and so much, all this cheap plastic you get when things are, you can use this stuff, right? Yeah. And so you can go directly on this paper, right? So I think, I was just, you can't really see, but you can ink directly on that, or you could do the back with some white paint or gesso, and then paint on top.
Oh,
so for bookmaking, if you were making a window, right? Yeah, in a book, right? So kind of fun. So cool. And then this is totally niche, and I'm sure not a lot of people would do this, but I use encaustic wax, and I make papers with my wax. So I'm saturating, and so they're encaustic papers, and I use the ink on top, and it just was beautiful. Just beautiful. So I just did it in the corner of this random piece, and I got the same. Really. So I'm going to remember that one. So.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And then just before we keep going, I know we're talking paper, but what you can do, like for bookmakers, is you can scan it and print it, right? And so this is a piece that's from my class, right? So this is one of the projects from my class, but I've printed it on calligraphy paper, rice paper, right?
Yeah.
Just on my printer. And so I reproduced it. So you can create things on these glossy surfaces and then reproduce them, right? And then I just printed today's project just on normal printer paper. So
that's so smart.
So like, don't, especially if you get one you really love, right? You can scan it and use it in a lot of different ways. So.
Oh, that's smart. Because I was looking at the photo paper thinking, well, would I use this as a book cover, or do I need to seal it in some way? But just photocopy it.
Yeah. And I mean, we can talk at the end, but I had sealed it with cold wax.
Okay, great.
And I found these sealed beautifully because, and I don't find they scratch as much and wear like regular alcohol inks. I've, been transporting it, and then you end up with a line like it. Yeah. I find these opaque ones are sturdier.
Oh.
And if I want that extra level of protection, the cold wax goes on beautifully and protects it. So
amazing. Okay, I have a quick question about the alcohol. Is it 99% or 93%?
Correct. Yes.
Which
99? 99. Yeah. Okay. If you're, and these little bottles, like they're kind of a pain in the butt to fill. So some people will use, a dropper.
Yep.
Yeah. I finally found a funnel that fit, because I was just it was like I was drunk trying to fill this thing, but I wasn't.
This is all I could get.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to last me a lifetime.
You can make your own hand sanitizer.
Exactly. I got to get it out of the studio though. I think it's like a hazard, so I got to
Yeah.
put it
That's a
somewhere.
lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking that.
Okay.
What else I had here? Oh, and the other thing we're going to need today is
Yes. What? Kerry, tell me what this is used for.
well, my husband bought this for me in a Christmas stocking for cleaning my camera.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell him that I don't use it.
That's too funny.
I don't know, like cooling yourself off because you're
Yeah, I know, something like that.
just I don't know. What do you think it would be used for?
I looked it up. I got it on Amazon. It's called a craft. What do you call it? A blower? Craft blower? Craft. Yes.
Well, you can use it with anything, any kind of.
Yeah, but I
like
do
a-
have one as well for cleaning a camera, for like
Yeah.
spraying, like getting dust out from the inside.
Yeah.
But it was like a couple dollars from Amazon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're fun.
Could you use like a straw if you didn't have one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
it's a little harder,
Okay.
it's definitely and then sometimes you spit through the straw.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So should we switch our cameras down?
Yeah, we're going to cross our fingers.
I'm going to take you out for a minute so that. Oh no, that's not right. I'm going to let you do your camera thing because it might make everyone feel a bit nauseous. So let me put mine down. There's mine. Gosh, it's very bright. Okay, here are my alcohol inks. Nice and ready. Here's my blower, my Yupo paper. All right.
I
Oops.
come back up.
Okay, what am I doing here? No, we need you. I think you're vertical still. Just have to give it like a. There we go. Maybe. Yeah. There we are. You got it. You got it. It's upside down, but it is horizontal now. There we go. You got it. You got it. Perfect.
Okay, hang on though. I'm kind of slightly askew, which is my normal
There we go.
position in life. But anyway,
Askew. Yeah, me too.
yeah.
At least yours isn't upside down like mine. Mine's always upside down because
Is that focused? Because I can't really tell up here.
It's a little blurry, but it's okay. It's okay. There's not much you can do, I don't think, with an iPhone. So
We had it pretty good before, though, didn't we? No.
yeah, no, that's great. That is amazing. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna put you in the center. I'm gonna be working off to the side, but then I will sort of come on screen periodically. But I can see and hear you perfectly.
Okay, and how's this for layout? You can see well? Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'll just start I just created a few I went crazy. So this was my original one that I made. And I did the clouds and then I put texture paste on top through a stencil and just, added some sari ribbon. This just sort of shows, you can use any kind of colors. And then last night I was like, oh, let's add foil because who doesn't like foil? And so these ones just have, this one has foil and this one has on top, those enamel kind of dots. Then yeah. I just, I didn't have a gold sticky thing, so I just put the gold enamel dots through a stencil.
Great.
Yeah, so that's that. Okay. So, you can kind of see how if you were doing this on cardstock, this one was done on Yupo paper, and you can see, the shape of it is kind of, a little more like peeking through the clouds. What we're going to do is do it on a little, just kind of 2-inch. What would you call this? Yeah, 2 inches bookmarks, right? So here's my bookmark. And we're not using the shiny side of our paper. Remember, we're going to be using the back side. Now, okay. This is going to be fun because you're using different colors. See, this is why, this is what, when I teach, I don't know if you find this too. People are like, they use different things and they do different things. And in my head, I'm like, oh, is that going to work? And then it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Why didn't I think of that? So I always learn more from people. Okay, so if we're thinking of, we could think of composition, right? So honestly, sometimes I think, and then sometimes the inks have a mind of their own, right? So you kind of let go of perfection when using them. But part of me is like, oh, I would like to work on having this upper corner have more white space. Will that turn out that way? Probably not, but we'll try. So we're taking our alcohol and we're going to just flood a little bit. And so this is where, some people who are sensitive to the smell of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, you want to, be outside or have your window open. We're not using a lot, but some people, this can bother you afterwards. So I'm just sort of flooding it a bit. And we're being very light-handed here. Okay, when you're opening your jars, don't squeeze the bottle while you're opening it, because it'll go. And so we're doing a darker one on the bottom,
Okay.
and we're only going to put. These are really pigmented, so I'm only going to put 2 dots, and that's probably too much. And so,
Okay.
what I want to do is I want to kind of flood the. Can you see how thick these are? Like,
Yeah.
if you've used alcohol inks from before, you're like, holy smokes, these are
Wow.
insane. And so what we're creating a wash here. So we're creating some clouds, some backgrounds,
Okay.
and we're letting it just flow. And you can, with these inks, the pigments almost sort of separate out a bit when we do this, which is fine, doesn't matter.
Am I doing it right? Oh, mine is so pale. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, because you're using, that's fine. Are you
Yep.
using the pale inks or do you have regular?
I'm using the
don't-
pale. I'm using the strawberries with cream.
Oh, no. Do you have the darker one, like a blue one?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure. I can do a blue
yeah,
one.
yeah. Use your dark blue for the base. Sorry, we're making the sky first. I
Okay.
wasn't very clear there.
All right. Well, there we go. So
The
I'm
pale ones are for your clouds. So what we're doing is first off is making this background.
okay. So I
And
flooded it.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
2. Oh,
And then
oh. Okay, that's a lot of ink.
yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And
Whoa.
then what you can do is you can blow it around just to dry it, right? But you can kind of see at this point, it's like, okay, I can smell the alcohol. Let's slide the windows open.
Whew. Okay.
How you doing with your blue?
Okay. There's a lot of alcohol and a lot of pigment, but that's okay. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Okay, if you got too much down and you're like, oh, well, that was too much, take one of your other cards,
Okay.
lay it on top and smoosh it. And you're just it'll transfer to that one and you can use that one later.
Okay. I think that's what I'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, you know what? That's kind of how I discovered making background. I had too much down one time and I was like, oh, I don't want to waste it because I'm cheap. And so I just started laying down other pieces and creating. And then I'm like, oh, these are cool. So that's kind of how that started.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do, I think I want a little bit of contrast in my clouds. So very light-handed. I'm going to add maybe 2 or 3 drops of another lighter, a darker color for our clouds. And we're going to add a little more. I just add alcohol to those little dots. And because we're just creating some, and we want those colors to blend together. And so we're just creating this background here.
Okay. So what color am I using now on top of the blue?
Do you have a green or a red or a terracotta or a yellow?
I got terracotta.
Yeah.
Okay. Or yellow ochre, would that work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you said
Yeah.
I have to shake it.
You don't have to shake the plain ones. You have to shake the opaque ones.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. The opaque ones have a little ball in the bottom, and you need to shake them.
Okay, great.
You are a beginner. You're asking all the good questions.
Oh, I
That's good.
really am.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not kidding. Okay,
So are you happy with how yours is looking?
I think,
Okay.
hold on. I'll show you. It's a bit blobby. Should I put more alcohol on there or?
Oh, I'm just trying to. Oh no, that's perfect. That's
Is that
fine.
okay? How about
Yeah,
on the other one?
you could put a little more alcohol down, like where it's strong, but no, that's fine. That's good. Yeah, and then blow it around a little. Oh,
Okay.
I like that. I like that green you got.
Oh, blow it
Yeah.
around. Okay.
Just blow the green around. There you go. Because we're just creating the base, right?
Okay.
This is a very layered piece. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Okay.
So, and this is where I will start from our darkest pale ink from K inks, right? And so I'm using the concrete, then the fog, then the cocoa, then the white. So you're layering and creating. So clouds have different layers to them, right?
Mhm.
And depth. And so that's what we're trying to recreate here is that atmospheric feel. Now, another tool that you may want to have in your craft desk, and probably a lot of people do, are pliers. Because I find these inks do, mine have been opened already today, but they will get really gunky and stick. And there you are trying to crank them open, and you're squeezing the bottle, and you get a mess. Okay,
All right.
so I am going to start with the concrete. And once again, not necessary, but sometimes I try to do this. I'm thinking that, I want to have it a little darker and then I'll get lighter towards the top. So I'm going to, I'll put the darker one, but it's not necessary. We're gonna start at the top because they do dry a little bit quickly. So I've put my dots down and I've added some alcohol right into the dot, and I'm just moving this around, and I want it to merge and blend and become, create these new sort of backgrounds while
Okay.
combining with the blue and the green that we have below there.
All right. I'm on
And
it.
I do it in small batches, right? So that I'm not kind of overwhelmed.
Okay.
And starting at the top, and I may go a little heavier towards the bottom because I just maybe want a darker bottom for my clouds. And and they're gonna do their own thing.
They really do their own thing.
Yeah, so you can't be a perfectionist with this. You kind of got to let go of that.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that.
Okay, and you're not. And what I find happens is even after it sits for a few seconds, a minute, new things happen and new shapes emerge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so this is pretty on its own, right?
Yeah.
And but where I find I kind of want to see what yours looks like with the
Oh, hold on then. Hang on. So someone's asking what paper we're using. We are using photographic paper.
yeah,
And
and the koala brand from Amazon.
so
Yeah. But you can use Yupo or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
How does that look?
So that darker one, I'm just for my own brain, I'm just moving it over to the left.
Okay.
And then I'm moving to a slightly lighter one. And so you can see we're just kind of building layers. And I'm going to, repeat that same process. I'm just going to do the top part first. And into each little spot.
Gosh. There's no control here, people.
No.
I'm having a hard time with this lack of control.
trust the process.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Mine are very, don't know, strange looking.
Are they strange clouds?
They're strange. They're kind of different colors, but that's okay.
Well, yeah. Well, it may turn out to be a color lesson that we're having here,
I
right?
think it might be, but I'm
Yeah.
not unhappy with them though. I quite like them.
Okay, so you can see. So what's happening here is we're getting, and it's probably a little bit harder to see on camera. I'm not sure, but I have 4 layers now, 3 layers.
Wow.
4 layers of clouds going on in here, and it gets to become very earth earthreal. What's earthreal?
Cereal.
That word. Okay, so now I'm using the cocoa. So, and what you might find,
Yeah.
Allie, is you might want to cover a little more coverage with these lighter ones. Do a little more because you're saying your colors are right. So you can, at this point, add a little more of these opaque ones because they are opaque, right? And so they're going to cover up, right? You can see how mine are starting to.
Yeah. I love the opaqueness of these.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. Okay. I'm getting into it now.
Is it getting kind of covering it up now so that the under layer is just peeking through, right?
Yeah.
Those darker colors. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm liking this now.
Is it working?
It's working.
I can't see very well because you're on my, yeah.
Mine are very pale, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm liking this now. I'm just doing 1 dot at a time because I feel like when I put 2 or 3, I get a little overwhelmed.
Oh, that's fair.
Yes, fair. I'm just doing like 1 at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a little more control that way.
So Tracy says, do the colors go muddy if they're too mixed? What do you think? Mine don't seem terrible.
No, they seem that's what I like about as they dry, all the layers sort of come through, right? Like, if you were to look at this one, there's so many layers and you get this. It's almost a stained glass kind of, but it's not. It's like it's just, I can't describe it. Like it very much mimics kind of what happens when I use encaustic wax and I create layers with wax. So it's my final one is the white. And
oh, okay.
And so this is and so for you had
a dusty pink, I think is my lightest.
Yeah.
I think I've gone rogue. I just like
there's one in every class, Allie.
I know. I tell you something, I'm a terrible student. I'm awful to have in class.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm kind of liking this though. This is fun. I quite like not being in control.
Yeah, it's
oh, I don't think they look like clouds at all, but I'm loving it.
Well, I'm going to show you what you can do when you get something that's like, you're like, that didn't work out right. It's like, I never threw anything out. It's like, okay, what can we do with it? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, your white looks amazing. So did you put a lot of white in?
I'd say about the same amount, but certainly you can. I don't know. I'm kind of liking how it is right now because I like the whiter at the top, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I could go on and add more white, but I might just stop here because I kind of like what I got.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, I'll show my screen. Let me see. Yeah, Oh, here we go. Instead of white, for me, I'm going to use like the Tiffany.
Okay.
Which is like a pale green, so that's kind of covering up some of my stuff. I quite like that.
Okay, well, you do you, right?
Yeah, I know.
And
Sorry.
yeah,
I'm so
no. I when I was talking with Mickey, I guess clarity. There's some to be said about clarity, right? But
well, how about I order my own supplies?
there, yeah,
How about
we're
that?
we're good. It's
Yeah.
all
I'll often say to Mickey, "Can you buy me that and send it to me, please?"
yeah. Well, if anything, if anyone's not ordered yet or doesn't have them, it's like if you want this look, I definitely recommend those colors.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing, like when I make my books, I mean, I add little tags and like wrap them up and sell them. And so like when I have little pieces that don't work, I just had all these little this card base, and I was like, I make little tags. So I just make little tags out of these. Like when a print doesn't work, and I mean
Ooh,
they're just adorable, right? So you can just add little tags to anything.
that's a
But
great idea.
yeah,
Ooh,
I make little tags. So you
I
can
love
see.
that.
Yeah.
And how would you finish off your bookmark?
Okay. You can put, like I was saying, you can put texture paste right through a stencil. And I'll just show you my texture paste here. So I'm just using flexible molding paste. Just had a big jar of Liquitex in here. And you run that through the stencil. What will happen is it will change color. It won't stay white because the inks will penetrate through, and you get it subtle, like the pink is very strong, and so it's come through, right? I love all these veins of the really, it's not tacky, it's not
Ooh,
sticky, but it looks sticky in there. The other thing you can do is I put this stuff on everything. I don't know. Decofoil. I love decofoil, and I like the um I like the contrast between the shiny and the alcohol inks. So I have a couple ones here we could try. I
okay.
last night I they have this transfer gel duo, so it's I you put it through a stencil as well. So you're gonna see what shows up here, what stencil I used, and you let it dry. I think it takes maybe an hour, but I let it dry overnight, and then you'll layer the foil on top and just give it
Ooh,
a rub.
ooh, that looks fun.
Yeah. Isn't there like a hot sauce thing? I put that stuff on everything. Yeah, it's. I
Mm.
think I got it. And so then, you end up with very pretty.
Ooh, I can't wait to see it.
There. So this one is the gold. And so kind of thought, and this one's kind of orange. Let's see. But I thought I had this bit of like orange in here. So I was like, okay, let's see. The another thing that works well on these are just gel pens. If you're into doodling or doing some lettering, gel
Ooh,
pens work really well.
that sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm like, why isn't that coming through? 2 sheets. Okay, that'll do it. I'm very frugal with my uh, oil. I'm like always trying to find every spot that's not used and
Oh, really? That's good.
lay it down again. Oh, I like this one with it turned out pretty. Very subtle.
I have never used that foil. I need to try some.
Oh, this one I think is really pretty and subtle. I just like the subtleness of the
Wow.
right with the green that was under there. So, this one's a little bolder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was the one I just worked on. And then I finished them off with ribbons.
Oh,
So
that's really cute. Fun.
yeah. let's see, how many do I got? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think like I like to add, like I sell my books, right? And so when I this year for a while I was giving away, I'll add something to the package,
yeah,
or I'll add, but I think, having a little bookmark to put in, or I don't know, they're just so pretty.
they are really pretty. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Heavens above. Yeah, mine, I'm not quite sure how, mine didn't turn out amazing, but I think it was the
Okay.
first time literally the first time I've opened them. Hold on.
Yes.
So like,
And the colors definitely,
yeah, totally different colors.
yeah, I'm having a hard time just seeing it, but we'll
That's okay. It's
I'll
fine.
go back and yeah.
You're fine. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's very fun though.
It's
I,
very simple, yeah. Like but it does take practice. I mean,
yeah,
like when I'm in the class that I have,
yeah.
here, I'll just show what that class is a little different, and it just uses Ranger ink products, right? And so we're in that class, like we make flowers, and so it's a little simpler than and you can just use the Ranger products if you just have that. But
Yeah.
um
Wow.
this
Oh my
is
gosh.
yeah, this is
Oops.
a little
Sorry.
bit.
That's really fun. And it's just, I love the fact that you do the transparent ones first, and then you put the opaque ones over the top, and then
Yeah.
you kind of layer on like foil or it's
Mhm.
lovely, like the layered approach to it. So
Yeah, and it's and like I said, it was an accident because I had too much ink on something once, and
yeah,
it was kind of one of those happy
yeah,
accidents. So I've used this was just a test one.
yeah.
So this one, heat embossing, some people have the stamps with the
Oh yeah.
I don't know, that color wasn't the greatest, but I was just sort of testing. So you can
Mm,
do all kinds of things.
you really can. It's like a really versatile base, especially then
Yeah.
if you photocopy it. My gosh.
Well, and so for my bookmarks, I was like, okay, this turned out really sturdy.
Yeah.
So I I used, because it's photo paper, right? The shiny side, you're not going to be using like a glue stick. It won't stick to stuff. And what I used was 3M spray adhesive,
Oh yeah.
and I put it on cardstock, and I'm like, this is very sturdy.
Hmm.
And if you put the cold wax on it, you could use this for a book cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So how
yeah.
would you put the cold wax on? Do you use like a cloth or a brush?
I use my finger.
Use your fingers. Okay, that's fine.
And then I rubbed it with a cloth, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
yeah, I just used my fingers and then a cloth, and I just buffed it. And I was like watching very carefully. I did it on this one, and then I put all the stuff on top. And
yeah,
like there's no difference, right? It didn't change the transparency, the depth, anything. So
nice.
but even still, like if you were to look at this, like I can't, oh, I guess with my fingernail I can scratch it a bit, but
Yeah,
so for a book cover I would want to protect it, right? The
for
thing
sure.
with alcohol inks, like they have when you put the fixative and stuff like that, it's got alcohol in it too, and so it can change the color of your inks, it can move them. I find these ones, like when I do resin and tiles and stuff like that, and the opaque ones don't move as much as the solid colors, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's always a thing. But the cold wax works, so
Amazing.
yeah.
And is there a particular brand of cold wax that you like?
I'm using the
Yep.
Dorland.
Yep.
Is it Dorland or Doran?
Doorland. Yeah,
Dorland, yeah.
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 And the foil, is there because Deborah was asking about the foil, is there any particular brand you like, or
I
deco
use
foil?
deco foil, yeah.
Deco foil. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Well, I've made something. Um, I don't know.
You have the beginner's mind today, right?
I have
And
the beginner's mind. Why don't we
yeah,
flip our cameras up and I'll show
okay,
you. You might be able to see
okay.
it a bit more clearly.
Okay, hang on.
Hold on.
Sorry. Do
No,
not
you're
pretend.
fine. You're fine. I'll just wait for you to bring your face up and then we'll bring you on. Okay, yeah, mine is still a little bit wet. Mine's are blues and greens. It's not so much cloudy as atmospheric.
Here, let me see again. Put it up again.
Okay. It's kind of
Oh, it's fine.
atmospheric.
Yeah, it is atmospheric.
Yeah.
It's sort of you know what it looks like to me? Like when you are in an airplane and
Yeah.
you're looking down. It's like a landscape, aerial landscape.
That's exactly what it is. That's what I
That's
had
what you were
planned.
going for. Yeah. It's an
Completely.
aerial landscape.
Completely.
Yeah, it's pretty. So you've got the depth in there too, right? When you added the opaque ones, like you get such
you can
depth.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really fun. And you have to kind of let go of the control, which I find a little hard. But once I did, like, yeah, that was, I can see me doing some more of these. And
Well,
go ahead.
I do find, like, you know, I teach a few different classes, and I do find when I'm teaching alcoholing, it's it's like the quietest class I teach. Like people get very much into very absorbed, and so it becomes like a very mindful activity because you're just, I don't know, hands down, it's like it's the quietest class I teach. So.
Oh, that is so interesting. Well, I've signed up for your flower class, so I need to go I want to get some of the ranges as well. So that's my trip to Michael's.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't need a lot, like for that class. I'm just using a couple greens, yellow, pink, and orange, right? So I keep it because I know it's, you know, sometimes people are like buying supplies. It's expensive. And that koala brand is very reasonable. And you know, if you have a friend and you're like, okay, I won't use 100 sheets, but
share it.
But yeah, I know I've had friends who, you know, have taken the class and, you know, they're like, hands down, they make these cards, you know, once they start making them, they really get into making those flower cards. This one, I'm really loving this one. I don't know. I just, it has very zen, hey?
And I love the white space at the top. I think that's what mine is kind of missing. That's really smart to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, leaving white space is probably the hardest thing I ever do in life. In my arts, you know.
In life in general. Oh, well, thank you, my dear. That was really fun. I have to work now, which I think is a little unfair because I would really prefer to be playing with my alcoholics.
Yeah. Well,
are there any questions, Amber, before we go? I think I tried to get most of them, but should pop one on the screen. So the cold wax is like a sealant and a fix, and will it work on Yupo paper, the cold wax?
I can't see why not. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions, Amber, that I missed? That's a good question. Can you read that okay?
Yeah, the reason I did them first was because I wanted to control where my white space was, but absolutely, you could do the whole sheet. I just found this is the look I ended up with when I cut it down after. You know, I didn't have the white space I was trying to get, right?
Got it.
So for me, it was about trying to navigate that layout.
Great. That's a good idea.
But yeah, you can, you know, if you have die cuts and you have lots of like shapes for tags and stuff like that.
Yeah, doing a big sheet would work. I love it. Well, that's all the questions. Well, thank you so much. Folks, we have put underneath a link to Kerry's Instagram and her Facebook. Definitely go check her out there because your mind will, when you see her lovely work. And also there's a link to Kerry's flower class, which I can't wait to take it. So, I mean, it looks really, really fun. And I've just kind of scrubbed through it very quickly and it looks very doable and sort of relaxing. So,
well, I had this woman in mind when I was creating my lessons. And I was like, she always has the best lessons. So, well, when I was done, I was like, "Oh, I kind of feel like Allie."
That's too cute.
I created an online class with lessons that are, yeah. So
Yes, you
anyway,
did. Yeah, well, it
yeah,
looks great.
you were my, like, here's the bar, and I gotta have lessons that match Allie. So
You
yeah.
did good. You did really good. And also, Kerry will be back as a guest in the Handmade Book Club. I can't remember what month. Can you remember?
July.
July. Just
That's different. That's a
no
very
alcohol
completely different. No, no.
No alcohol inks. It's going to be to do with stitching. So
Mm.
hang on to your hats, people.
Mhm.
Wait until July. Oh, July, August, July.
I think it's July. Yes.
I think it's July. We haven't got Mickey here to remind us, but
Yes. I'm pretty sure it said July when yeah.
Good. All right, my dear. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much for doing this. I know we had a few tech headaches, but I think it worked out great. And I'll see you very soon.
Yeah. Have a great day. Okay.
You too.
Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.